Hey, what's up, everybody? This is Charles Advance, and welcome you guys to another episode of the Dreamers Pro Show. We cover everything from sports, hot topics, classic debates, entertainment, and we give you guys a fresh perspective on things and how we see them. And today we have a very serious show in store for you guys. But before we get into it, please make sure you like the video and subscribe to the channel. Well, looks as if Brett Farve is back in the news for all the wrong reasons. All the wrong reasons. And it seems like Shannon Sharpe may have been right about Brett Farve all along based on the new report that just came out that we got from Front Office Sports. It's a pretty serious one. But for those of you guys who don't remember, a number of years ago, I believe it was 2 years ago, Shannon Sharpe, while he was still on Undisputed, was addressing a story surrounding Brett Favre where apparently he misappropriated some funds that were meant for people that were, dealing with some financial difficulties. And they were discussing this on ESPN ESPN Undisputed. Skip and Shannon's Undisputed. So in the midst of them discussing this, Shannon Sharpe, and if you remember the way Shannon used to talk about issues like this, I thought he was really good on Undisputed, and I used to really enjoy his positions on a lot of these type of issues. Shannon Sharpe absolutely went off on Brett Favre to the point where Brett Favre tried to sue Shannon Sharpe for defamation because of how harsh he was in his critique on Brett Favre. Now, for those of you sitting here wondering, man, that's like 3 years ago. Can you jog our memories? Can you please help us remember what the hell Shannon Sharpe said? That's exactly what we're going to do now for you. For those of you who don't remember what Shannon Sharpe said, I want to play what he had to say about Brett Favre on Undisputed some years ago, and I'm going to come back and react and continue on. Take a listen to what Shannon Sharpe had to say here.
Shannon, how much do you think this could tarnish Brett Favre's legacy?
Well, I don't think none can tarnish it, because if you go back and look at his history when he played in the NFL, they should have tarnished it already. I talked to people that was in the room when Brett Favre went into the Hall of Fame, and nobody mentioned about text messages that he sent to that jet masseuse. Nobody mentioned anything about the addiction that he suffered from. But yet T.O., they brought up everything. Can you imagine if T.O. would have had an incidents like Brett Favre off the field? T.O. still, to this day right now, would not be in the Hall of Fame. Yet they walked right past it like Brett Favre did nothing.
That is true. I give you that.
The problem that I have with this situation, you got to be a sorry mofo to steal from the lowest of the low. Skip, Mississippi is the poorest state in our country.
It is.
Its citizens. So if they're the poorest state, Brett Favre is taken from the underserved. You made $100+ million in the NFL. And they're talking about, well, he didn't know. This is what Brett Favre texted. If you were to pay me, is there any way the media can find out where it came from and how much? So if you got to ask this question, is there any way the media can find out? You already know you're doing something wrong. The mere fact that you don't want anybody to know. So you know you're doing something wrong. And Skip, he wanted to seem so philanthropic. He wanted to change the perception of the narrative. He take money for some damn volleyball arena.
Well, his
daughter played. You see what Brett Favre did for his alma mater? No, he didn't get no money came out of his pocket. He stole money from people that really needed that money.
Yep.
Man, this is embarrassing. And he's not the only one. Ted DiBiase, a former wrestler, even Marcus Dupree, a great running back at the school that you loved growing up, Oklahoma. He got money. You got to be really low to take from the poorest of the poor. Brett, you ain't got enough money? Okay, Skip, listen. You know you're not supposed to have this. But how about go give the damn speeches? They're paying you to give speeches, and you didn't even give the speeches. And now you won't even pay the money back. And they fired one of the guys that say he tried to recruit the money. They fired him he was a Clinton appointee. This was political.
Yeah.
Shouldn't you get the money back? Have nothing to do with politics. The man and this is what we know. Skip, when black and brown people do fraud the government, they hell bent. You get an EBT card, or you get WIC, or you get stuff like that, boy, they move heaven and earth to try to put you in jail for $400 little measly dollars.
Fact.
Now this man done took $1 million. Somebody got $3 million. Somebody got $400,000.
Yeah.
And they sitting around like, well, it happened, and we'll see. And they're gonna get more money and do it all over again.
And to your point, the Mississippi Department of Human Services had to file a civil lawsuit against Brett Favre because he had not paid back the interest he owed on the 1.1 million that he was fraudulently given
Right.
for giving no speeches.
Right. And he won't even pay the 1.1 back. He won't even pay the interest on the money.
Right. It's $228,000.
I mean, you got to be really low.
Yeah.
You got to be really low. And people and politicians, you got to be really low too. To know that this money is supposed to go to the most underserved, and you take it and give it to people that's made millions or got millions or have the potential to make millions, and you're willing to do that, you're willing to let your people starve, you let your people go underserved, and Brett Favre, you took this money, ain't nothing, Skip, this is what we know.
Yeah.
If people like you, there is nothing you can do to turn them against you.
So what happened was I came across this pretty serious article from ESPN that basically had the following headline: Brett Favre's ex-associate pleads guilty in Mississippi welfare case. This article I'm going to read. Let's read some of what it has to say. Brett Favre's former business associate pleaded guilty to wire fraud in federal court on Wednesday, admitting that he used Mississippi welfare money his company received for concussion research to pay off gambling and other debts, according to court filings. Biomedical researcher Jacob pleaded guilty in the U.S. District Court for the Southern District of Mississippi to one count of wire fraud for using 1.9 million that his company Prevacus received in government funds to unlawfully enrich himself, according to the filings. Wire fraud carries a maximum sentence of 20 years in prison. He was released on bond. His lawyer, Thomas Marshall Finley, did not immediately respond to a request for comment. Previously told ESPN in a 2022 interview, "I had no idea this was welfare money, and I've always been an upstanding person when it comes to research. Documents show Favre invested more than $800,000 of his own money in Prevacus and lobbied government officials, including former Mississippi Governor Phil Bryant, for funding for the company. Favre was the top investor in Prevacus, according to a civil lawsuit filed by the state in May 2022 against Favre, among others. The state's lawsuit seeks to recoup misappropriated funds in what is the largest case of public fraud in the state's history. At least $77 million in temporary assistance for needy families funds earmarked for poor families were misspent, according to the Mississippi State Audit. 8 people have been indicted, 6 of whom have pleaded guilty to their involvement, including Mississippi former welfare director and head of a nonprofit organization. Favre, a pro Hall of Fame quarterback who played in the NFL for 20 seasons, has not been criminally charged and has denied wrongdoing. A spokesperson for Favre did not immediately respond to a request for comment. Favre remains a defendant in the lawsuit. At the heart of the dispute is a volleyball facility built in 2019 at his alma mater, the University of Southern Mississippi. A text message made public in legal filings show he pushed the state officials for funding during the time his daughter was on the team. The university's athletic foundation received $5 million in welfare funds. My Lord. Favre donated $1.4 million of his own money to construct the facility. So that's what the article has to say there. Are we saying that Brett Favre is guilty of anything? No, we're absolutely not, because there is no guilty verdict. What we're saying, and the reason that we said, it's a stunning report suggests Shannon Sharpe may be right. Folks, let me tell you something. The company you keep says a lot about you. The company you keep says a whole lot about you. A whole lot, right? The people you associate yourself with is a reflection of you, your views, your ideologies, things you like, whether you like it or not. And you seldom see birds who have not of the same feather, not flocking together. They usually do. People that hang out with each other usually have common views, common life goals, find similar humor, all of those different things. So if you're hanging out with people that are basically pleading guilty to crimes that may cause them to get a wire fraud or whatever, to cause them to get locked up for 20 years, and these are people that you're, associated with, it may cause one to look at you kind of side-eye. But according to the article, no charges have been filed against him, although he's defending a particular lawsuit or whatever it is. Let me go back to the article. Okay, looks like I closed it out, but you heard what the article said at the end of it. But to me, man, it makes me wonder about whether or not the things that Shannon Sharpe said do have some kind of credibility, right? It really makes me wonder. So what I want to know from you guys is simply this. What do you think about the things that Shannon Sharpe said about Brett Favre? Do you think is an appropriate characterization of who he is? And number two, what do you think about what this report had to say in general? Whatever you guys think, please leave your thoughts and comments in the comment section, and we'll catch you guys on the next show. Peace.